Good evening everyone and welcome to the TTL Classic Series. We are here on F1 2019 for round one of the championship as we take in two races tonight from Australia. And yes, we are coming from a land down under, and joining me in the commentary box as always is my TTL F2 companion. It's Aidan Carter. Aidan, how you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you. How are you?
I have to try and get a bit of a men at work theme going on there at the start of the stream. But yeah, I'm doing fine. And obviously tonight we've got the Classic Series. These guys all drawn in from, well, we've got past, present and future drivers as well taking part in this Classic Series. It should be a great night, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something new. I haven't really commentated over a classic race before, and obviously I've never seen any of these guys drive classic cars before, so it's going to be a completely different ball game, really. It's going to be really interesting to see, and it's fun to kind of feel pretty nostalgic, isn't it? Go back to 10 years ago with these cars and drive something a bit more organic than modern Formula 1 cars, something no DRS, no ERS, nothing like that. It's all just about raw pace and having the talent and the speed to come out on top.
And you can't beat the sound of V8 engines, can you?
You really can't. Unless you have a V10, you can't beat a V8.
Unless you have a V10, exactly. The old school Formula 1, of course, we are going back to. Of course, the guys are using the 2010 cars, so you're not going to be seeing Ayrton Senna or anyone like that out on track tonight. Or certainly the cars that are prolific with Ayrton Senna and with Michael Schumacher and the likes of those. But we do get the 2010 cars, Red Bull, McLaren and Ferrari to be specific, and obviously with the Ferrari, the Red Bull and the McLaren, we saw in 2010 probably one of the closest championship endings I think we've ever seen. Vettel, I think, only winning the championship from Alonso by 4 points, if I'm not mistaken, which is unreal.
I think it was something around that. I know going into that last round that Vettel hadn't led the championship at any point in the season until obviously he won the championship at the end of the season. And it was kind of more his teammates' championship as it was more Mark Webber's championship. The Red Bull was definitely the faster car, but Fernando Alonso, being Fernando Alonso, ended up at the front of the field. But by the end of the season was a really good second half of the season. But yeah, it was between those three really for the championship. It was between the two Red Bulls of Webber and Vettel and Alonso, and Vettel obviously came out on top in the end.
He did, and obviously it started what would be a 5-time winning streak, a 5-time world champion, which is absolutely fantastic. And obviously he is leaving Ferrari at the end of the season, and I'm sure we'll gloss over that in the stream some point. But what we'll take you through, though, is the Classics lineup and the guys you will be expecting in each car tonight. So, starting off with the 2010 Ferrari F10, it is Honey Badger, MCR Venom, Superhero, PSE Kelvin, VRT Schiaparelli, Graham and Wesker. Very interesting to see how Wesker gets on his TTL debut, if I'm not mistaken. In the McLaren and the MP4 25, it is Maze, Charlie, the GOAT, Siege, Sean and Navy, running his Dave M account. So if you're wondering why you can't see Navy's name in the lobby, it's because he's on his Dave M account. And the Red Bulls filled up with Jeffrey, Bart from Project Cars 2, Conti, Casper, Mashiro, the two-time TTL F2, TTL F1 League 2 champion, I should say, and also 00, who is a brand new driver to us, and he's another Dutchman that comes into the series. I mean, we've got 16 drivers already here. This should be phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a number of people in here that we have and I haven't commentated over. There's some people from F2 that I recognise, and there's people from other leagues that I recognise as well that are racing. I think it's going to be a really, really close field. And the good thing as well about these classic cars is that while there are slight differences in how the cars perform, overall they're very similar in pace. So it's more of a correct choice to really go for a classic car that suits your driving style. So we're going to see some really, really close racing, hopefully between all the different teams and all the different drivers as well.
It should be fantastic, and I think we are rewriting the norm, to be honest, in terms of the drivers that we've got here. We've got the likes of Schiaparelli and Navy, who are prone to be very quick, but then we've also got the likes of newcomers like Bart, like Wesker as well. It's going to be fascinating to see, I think, how everyone gets on out on track, and of course, pace might be changed from the Classic Series to what you would normally see from the likes of Venom and TTL F2 and Mashiro and TTL F1 League 2. Don't judge the pace straight off. I'm predicting guys that may not necessarily be up there in the pace in the normal championships, up there in this series. I think that's what we could see tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially Wesker. Obviously, like you said, this is probably his first outing in TTL, if I'm not mistaken myself as well. But I've commentated previously over Wesker on other leagues. He is an incredibly fast driver, and the thing is with Wesker is if he gets out at the front of the field, you will not see him again. He will disappear into the distance. He's a very, very good driver in that sort of circumstance. And like you say, it's a real mix of drivers, so you never know who's going to come out on top. I think going into this though, I think people are going to actually be very much more focused on qualifying than usual, just because there's no DRS and there's no ERS to help overtaking. Qualifying is going to be even more important now.
It is going to be really important. We've only got 10 seconds to go until we see these 2010 cars beautifully out on track around Australia. Of course, 10 corners to the right, 6 corners to the left. Just to run you through a bit of the rules and regulations as well. It's one-shot qualifying, followed by 25% race, and then we do it all over again for the second race of tonight. So it's going to be quite interesting. You're going to be with us probably for around an hour and 15 minutes, I would think. So settle back down and get a nice cold drink and get some popcorn at the ready, because you're going to be seeing some great classic cars out on track tonight. The point system as well, we've got a different point system, not the traditional F1 point system or the old F1 point system for that matter. It is first who gets 30 points, second gets 25, third gets 20, fourth gets 18, and then fifth gets 15. So it's an extended point system for the top 5, and then further down from 6th down to 19th, it is 14 points to 1, and if you're unlucky enough to be in 20th position, which no one will be tonight because there's no 20 cars out on track, you will be picking up the fabled nil point. But we have also got the fastest lap on offer for all of the guys out on track as well. And with this point system, it should promote, I think, a lot of people who might not necessarily get may have a bad race, I should say, get some good points, which I think will be quite interesting to see. I think we're just about to go into a lap now, so I'll get Aidan's thoughts in just a second. And we go on board with the TTL F1 League 2 driver. It is Jeffrey on the dry tyre. Yes, the dry tyre. We've only got the one here tonight, but Jeffrey coming through turn 1, looking very nice in the Red Bull. Dave M, Venom and Honey Badger well up there. Bart has already retired from the session. Of course, Bart's from Project Cars too. But Jeffrey now down towards turn 3, another heavy braking zone. Down into 60 mile an hour, ups it to third gear, straight out of the corner, and now through turns 4 and 5 and towards the end of the first sector. Jeffrey looking quite good. Here's a bit of run-off there, just to try and prioritise the curb. He's in 4.30 and 27.6 through the first sector. Don't be surprised if you see a 22 out on track within one-shot qualifying. Jeffrey now through turn 7 and then into the very tricky chicane of turns 8 and 9, and then we come down towards through turn 10, which is the little kink here, and then down into another heavy braking zone of 11 and 12 through the very fast flowing chicane, which will come. Jeffrey still in third, 50.2 through the middle sector, looking very nice through turn 10 and 11. Now through turn 12 and up towards turn 13, which is the next right-hander out on track. Remember, 10 to the right, 6 to the left. Count them up as you go along. Jeffrey through turn 13, looking very nice indeed. Now through towards, this is turn 13, now towards 14 and 15. I've been miscounting corners. You can tell I didn't pass GCSE maths. This is 15, and then coming through to turn 16. Jeffrey now, looks like he's going to be third, and again, not necessarily well up there within the pace, but he is going to be up there here tonight in the Classic Series, and Dave M comes in, Navy with a 122.8. I did say 22 could be on the cards, and we're perfectly right. Siege in second, Jeffrey in third, and there's 7 tenths of a second separating the top 3.
Yeah, quite a very spread out qualifying in the end. There was a number of people that had very good first half of the laps that ended up making mistakes. The likes of Honey Badger was right at the front on for a possible top 3 start, and he's ended up way down the field, obviously making a mistake on his lap. I was actually on board with Chapelele for his run to P5 on the grid. Chapelele, I know, is very fast from previous races I've seen. He was very cautious on that lap. He stayed well away from all the curbs, so pretty cautious run, but it rewards him with P5 in the end.
Best out of the Ferraris as well for Chapelele. Yeah. Dave M and Siege though, Navy and Siege, top 2 for the McLarens. Jeffrey and Mashiro, 3rd and 4th in the Red Bull. Chapelele best of the Ferraris, as I say, in 5th. Charlie and Conti, 6th and 7th, so the McLarens coming to the fore. Graham in 8th, Mays in 9th, Sean in 10th, Honey Badger in 11th, Zero in 12th, and Casper in 13th. Bart, Wesker and Venom, all interestingly, either got an invalid lap or they just didn't partake in the session like Bart did. He set no time on that lap. Clearly, I must have had a spin out of turn 1, I think.
Yeah, I think he might have run wide into the grass on the exit of turn 1, and I think Wesker was on for a top 8, I think, and then he invalidated at the fast chicane, if I'm not mistaken, which is where his time went away, unfortunately. I think one thing to note out in this race just before it gets going as well, I know in real life this was the case, I'm not sure if it's the case on the game, but from 2010 we know that the McLaren was actually probably the fastest car in a straight line. They had that F-duct system that a lot of drivers and a lot of teams ended up using later on in the season before it got banned for being too dangerous. But the McLaren was notoriously fast in a straight line in 2010, so I wonder if that's going to give the McLarens that are maybe a little bit further down the grid a real opportunity to make overtake sticks where other people aren't able to.
Yeah, through the corners, I think the Red Bull and the Ferrari are probably more superior than the McLaren, but down the straight, I think the McLaren carries something like 5 mile an hour extra speed down the straight, down towards turn 1. I've tried it out myself. I was doing a couple of time trial laps before we came live, and honestly, the McLaren is the quickest car around here, and look at that. Isn't it nice to see 2010 cars on the TTTV channel? I mean, somebody's just spun, I think, in the background of shot, but we'll try and not go on board with that. I think it might have been fast off the line, but everyone on a set of dry compound of tyres. And remember, back in the day, we had the option and the prime compound of tyre. It's only one compound of tyre here, unless it turns magically wet within 15 laps. I don't think it will, but we will have dry compound of tyres, of course, out on the track. And bearing in mind, we had a very spread out qualifying session. We should see, I think, some plenty of opportunities for overtaking.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be difficult for overtaking, so imagine watching, you're probably going to see a lot of people following very closely and trying to make moves as quickly as possible, especially with the likes of Honey Badger and Wesker and Venom further down the field. We're going to see them trying to make their way through as quickly as possible. And yeah, it's just looking at these cars, honestly, it makes me very happy, but at the same time it kind of makes me sad in a way, because usually when you looked at these cars, everyone thought that the 2010 cars were ugly and things because of the high rear wings, but it just makes me nostalgic for when the field was obviously much closer and it was much more competitive. I don't know if you feel the same, but it just makes me feel pretty nostalgic for that. But yeah, especially the Ferrari of 2010, that is a beautiful car in my opinion. So it's really good to see these cars in action.
It is great to see these cars in action, and I think hopefully we're going to see some fantastic overtaking as well. I'm going to try and push you, if you can, for a top 3.
Ooh, okay, well, just based on qualifying, Navy looks incredibly fast, so I'm going to put him for the win. I think second, I'm going to go for Mashiro second. I think we'll have him to have a strong race. Third, I'm going to say Chapelele is going to end up third in this one.
Oh, I'm going to go a little bit of a wild and wacky prediction, like I used to in the FRL days. I'm going to go Navy for the win. I'm going to go Chapelele second, and do you know what? I think I'm going to go Wesker third.
Wow, okay. Well, no pressure, Wesker.
No pressure, Wesker. You've got the rising of my prediction on you. But anyways, we're about to get going for 5 red lights here, of course, in Australia. 15 laps await the drivers for round 1 of the Classic Series, and it is lights out and away we go. Navy gets a very good start. Siege gets a good start. There's a bog down from Charlie further down the field. He's going to drop numerous positions. Wesker's down to the back of the field early, but Dave through turn 1. Navy leads the way from Siege in second. Been a bit of contact in the background. I think Zero has managed to spun. He's reset to track, certainly on the mini-map there through turns 1. Wesker's been caught up in an instant as well. No, he hasn't. He's just further down the field, but Navy leads. Siege in second, Jeffrey in third, and you can see the Red Bulls hammering on the McLaren through the corners. Jeffrey just running wide there. Yoshiro could try and take this for an overtake. The Japanese man down the inside, not quite. There was a car off in the background. Honey Badger, I think, maybe making a mistake there down towards turn 5, but really good start from everyone, I think, out on track. And it is the McLaren's dominating up early from Navy. It's Navy from Siege, Jeffrey and Mashiro. Chapelele falling off a little bit in 5th.
Yeah, he's falling off a little bit. He's got.
And he's under pressure, actually.
Yeah, his Ferrari teammate Graham up the inside for turn 11. They're still side by side. My word, Chapelele, how he held onto that place. That's brilliant driving from Chapelele and from Graham to not come into contact. Meanwhile, Honey Badger in the background.
Still on the inside.
They're 3 wide. They're 3 wide in the background as well. I think Conti may have made a little error.
Yeah.
Just for the fast chicane, and that's allowed the likes of Honey Badger and Venom through. Venom's up 7 places. He's had an amazing start so far, and I think off the line as well, I think it was Charlie and Conti, both of the 2 McLaren drivers who started, I believe, 6th and 7th, both broke down off the line, so that's why they're down in 10th and 11th at the moment.
Yeah, Conti ran wide, just to come on board with that. Conti ran wide through the fast chicane. I saw him go wide in 8th position. He dropped down to 11th, so he's lost 3 positions there. It is Navy, though, who leads from Siege in 2nd. Jeffrey and Thermoshiro in 4th, and these 4 are really beginning to pull away from Schiaparelli, and the Ferraris are not keeping up with McLaren and the Red Bulls ahead, and maybe the Ferrari might have been the wrong choice for these guys, but you never know. There's still plenty of action still left to go. Venom, as you say, has gained 7 positions. He's the most positions gained so far, and it's like a normal Tuesday night for him. He normally likes to make his way through the field, and Venom's certainly trying that now, and he's on the back of Honey Badger.
He is on the back of Honey Badger. It would be good to spot him out. That green helmet's really sticking out against that Ferrari. But yeah, Venom, like you said, he started at the back a few times in TTL F2, obviously through invalidations, but he works his way through the field incredibly quickly. He's very opportunistic, as is Honey Badger in front of him as well. They've both gained quite a few places at the start. But at the moment, like you said, the Ferrari is really kind of struggling to keep pace with the guys in front.
Spinner! It's Graham, he's retired, he's gone too quick through the fast chicane. I think he got on the outside curb, right on board out the Venom's point of view. I saw Ferrari spinning. It's Graham, and he's out of the race, and he was chasing down Schiaparelli, if I'm not mistaken.
He was, yeah, he was right on the back of his Ferrari teammate, so it's all really at the moment up to Schiaparelli. But as I say that, Venom, look at that, he's almost trying to go around the outside of Honey Badger at the last corner. He's very confident in that Ferrari. Definitely looking the fastest of the Ferrari runners at the moment. Schiaparelli, after Graham's spin, is now kind of all on his own. He can maybe use that to try and catch up to Mashiro in front. But yeah, Venom looking very strong in the Ferrari. He's definitely suited to that car better than the other people around him. Let's see if he can try and make a move down into turn 3. Obviously, there's no DRS, so it's all going to have to be on the brakes. See, you can just see though that the McLaren, even with the Ferrari in the slipstream. Oh, yeah, there we go. Does he go around the outside? He does.
Oh, beautiful!
Oh, there's a little bit of contact, but they just get away with it. Brilliant move from Venom all the way around the outside. Just goes to the grid. Oh, Honey Badger clips the grass as well. Charlie thought about having a move on his McLaren teammate, but he backed out of it in the end. Yeah, brilliant move from Venom. That's very well committed from him. He put a lot of faith in Honey Badger that he was going to give him enough room, and he did in the end. So the Ferrari driver looking very confident in the early phase of this race.
Yeah, Venom or Honey Badger just hitting the wall there as well. He's under pressure from Charlie, but Venom up to 7th position. A phenomenal move around the outside. No investigation, I think, into that at all. Venom had the car ahead. He had the move done completely around the outside. He just got caught on the outside curb, and a little bit of move was made. Wesker is right on the back of Maze. And Charlie on the back of Honey Badger as well. Down side by side. Charlie's through, is he? No, he's not. Down the inside. The Red Bull wide in the background slightly. Wesker, though, is still on the back of Maze. Look at this. Conti and Casper as well. Oh, Charlie's into the back of him. Was that Charlie into the back of Honey Badger?
It was Conti into the back of Charlie, and I think Charlie just managed to tap Honey Badger through that as well. But I think they might have just got away with it.
Oh, my God, Casper! Goodness me! How on earth he didn't...
Wow.
He's kind of recovered that, but it's into the wall, and he has lost significant front wing damage, and he's got going again.
That is such a shame for Casper. I noticed he did that on the first lap. He had a bit of a moment at the last corner, but yeah, just got a tank up on the outside curve and hit the wall. He's going to be under pressure now from his Red Bull teammate Zero, who I think had a spin early on in the race as well. So that's a shame for Casper. He was working his way through pretty well, but that has cleared the way for some of the people behind. Wesker still all over the back of Maze, but I think Wesker might have a little bit of front wing damage if I'm not mistaken. He does, yeah. On the left-hand side of his wing, Wesker has got front wing damage, and he's still able to keep up with Maze. So knowing that, he's definitely got some strong pace if his car was running around in the best condition possible, but at the moment struggling with front wing damage, only 12.
Yeah, Maze under pressure here, and actually Maze is trying to pressurise Conti, who I think again has got a bit of front wing damage on the right side end plate, and Maze is surely not going to go around the outside here. He thinks second of it, goodness me. We've got Mashiro on the back of Jeffrey as well, the two Red Bulls fighting out for 3rd and 4th. Venom. Charlie's had a good run, Mashiro just runs wide, Charlie having a good run on Honey Badger, not getting the move done. Honey Badger just runs a little bit too deep there. But very good action. Navy's pulling away 1.7 seconds out in front. Siege in 2nd, Jeffrey in 3rd, Mashiro in 4th, and Navy's just set up a sub 24 lap time in the race, which is absolutely unbelievable. Charlie now on the back of Honey Badger. Remember, no kinetic energy recovery system, KERS, or no KERS and DRS. Drag reduction system, there you go.
Yeah, just another thing to point out, Venom has already caught Sean.
Wow.
He's already 4.5 seconds clear of Honey Badger. Venom was really being held up. So God knows where he could have been had he not invalidated his time in qualifying. But yeah, he's already on the back of Sean. These two kind of on their own at the moment. Schiaparelli is starting to reel in the two Red Bulls in front as the two McLarens at the front of the field start to disappear.
Wesker's off! Wesker's off, he's lost his front wing. Another wonder, prediction. of me has gone completely awry, and that's why I don't predict him for top 3. And he's retired as well. I don't blame him, to be honest, but there's points available for all point scoring positions. I mean, he could get 3 or 4 points.
He would have scored points, yeah, had he continued on, because obviously there's not 20 drivers in the field, so he would have scored at least something. And this is good for Zero, who obviously had a spin earlier on. He's having a few people in front make mistakes, and he's starting to capitalise on it. I think someone else has just made a mistake, actually.
Yeah, Mashiro.
Yeah, he's just had a moment coming off the back straight, and that's let Chapelele through. So now Chapelele was starting to put a bit more pressure on the Red Bull, so maybe Chapelele is a bit more confident the further into the race he gets. Maybe we can start to catch down Jeffrey for a possible podium place. Meanwhile, Venom is still all over the back of Sean, but cannot get past because there's no DRS, so he's just kind of stuck at the moment in P7.
I have a feeling Navy's made a mistake as well. The gap is only 0.8 of a second to the lead of the race. I think he's had a mistake through the fast chicane.
And Mashiro's had a time penalty, the first of the leaders to pick up a time penalty, if I believe so. So that's another thing that you've got to take into account is time penalties. So Mashiro, he's currently just over 3 seconds ahead of Sean, so he's safe to the car behind, but any sort of mistake will put him under pressure of losing places, and especially if Venom passes Sean, then he'll definitely be able to gain some time on Mashiro and maybe steal that 5th place off him at the moment. But other than that, the only other battle was Charlie there up over the inside of Honey Badger, but Honey Badger's really struggling for pace at the moment.
Yeah, he is struggling for pace. Obviously, Conti, with that front wing damage further down the field, is now beginning to struggle. And remember, I think Honey Badger, you said, has got right side end plate damage, if I'm not mistaken, or left side.
Yeah, he's got right side end plate damage, I believe Honey Badger does. And it was Wesker who also had front wing damage before he ended up spinning out of the race, unfortunately. But yeah, Honey Badger struggling with front wing damage, but it's cost him over 6 seconds already. And Charlie still hasn't been able to get the move done. That just goes to show how difficult it is to overtake when you take away the likes of DRS and DRS systems. It's really difficult to overtake, and when you do get an opportunity, you have to make it stick almost immediately, otherwise you'll end up being stuck behind the car in front, even if they have front wing damage for another maybe 2 or 3 laps.
Yeah, just running on board with Charlie. A little bit of lag back there. Chapelele picked up a 3-second time penalty through turn 1, but Charlie now is on the back of Honey Badger, trying to get the move done, but you can see the effect of not having DRS or KERS. And Charlie, obviously KERS not built into this game, and probably not into the next game either, but Charlie on the back of Honey Badger. Can he get the move done down towards turn 3? Oh, he's into the back of him nearly, just over-committed braking point slightly. Zero's picked up a 3-second time penalty, he's already been into the pits as well. But Charlie on the back of Honey Badger, but it looks to me as if Charlie can't find a way through, and Venom can't find a way through on Sean either.
Yeah, I think the good thing at the moment for Charlie and Honey Badger, obviously if they're working together as a team from McLaren and things like that, Honey Badgers and Charlie aren't really under pressure from anybody but a McLaren driver. It's just McLaren's really behind, apart from Bart, who's running in 12th at the moment. So it's just 4 McLarens in a row, so it's not really going to cost them anything in terms of their kind of point system. But it makes you wonder really how far up the road Charlie could be. And actually Charlie's on the inside of Honey Badger now, so going to try and make the move stick. He's going to have to be late on the brakes, but Honey Badger's got good straight line speed in that car. He's got a good setup on that car that makes him fast in a straight line, and that's again not allowing Charlie through.
Venom's run on the back of Sean coming out the final corner through turn 16. We're halfway through. There's Navy who still leads 0.9 of a second from Siege in second, but here is Venom on the back of Sean. Can he commit the move down the inside and towards turn 1? No. It's a resounding no, but Sean makes a mistake slightly onto the AstroTurf, and now Venom could have an opportunity to come back down towards turn 3. Charlie is closing on Honey Badger as well. Venom, I think he's got to channel his inner TTL F2 man, I think, to be honest. Sean has got to make a mistake, and I think Venom should put him under a lot more pressure to force him that mistake, I think.
Yeah, this is kind of a shame really for Venom that he's kind of stuck at the moment. I was riding on board with Venom. Venom was maxing out in 7th gear. Obviously they only have 7 gears in this car and not 8 like modern Formula 1 cars do. He was maxing out in 7th gear way before the end of the straights, and whilst in the slipstream could not gain any time on Sean in front. So he's going to have to wait for Sean to make a mistake, because just based on pure straight line speed it is not going to happen for the Ferrari man. So he's going to have to hope that Sean makes a little error. Sean was a bit slow through turn 12, but again, that McLaren is so fast in a straight line compared to the Ferrari that even with slipstream, Venom can't get close enough to make a move stick.
Yeah, I think it was going to juke him there towards turn 13, but he doesn't. Venom in the meantime through 14 and then through 15. Charlie's on the back of Honey Badger as well. We'll try and keep on ball with both of them. Navy sets a new fastest up the race. Chapelelli interestingly into the pits. I saw a bit of front wing damage coming off turn 9, so I wonder if that's the right side end plate damage that Chapelelli is providing. Yes, right side end plate damage to Chapelelli, so that is why I saw the front wing damage through there. We've got Maze and Conti having a fight. Oh, and Conti's round. Conti's actually round. I thought they were quite close together, but Conti actually has lost the car. Charlie in the meantime on the back of Honey Badger. There's so much going on once again on a Tuesday night. It is Navy who still leads. Charlie just going wide there on the back of Honey Badger. But my god, I can't even keep up. Venom, by the way, is getting 10 positions.
Yeah, I was just actually on board with Chapelelli. That is a very odd pit stop for him to make, if I'm honest, because I don't think there's no sort of rule to mean that they have to come into the pits, because obviously there's only one compounder.
Heavy contact! Honey Badger into the wall, losing its right side end plate. Sorry to cut in there, Aiden, but goodness me, Honey Badger had a right moment out of turn 5. Just cut off on board with them. Venom, by the way, is through on Sean, and these are two side by side down in towards the chicane as well. But Honey Badger very significantly into the wall, and Maze has left the session as well. So it's all going wrong at the minute.
Yeah, before that, obviously that incident takes priority. But when Chapelelli came into the pit lane, there's obviously no rule to mean that they have to come in, because there's only one set of dry tyres, so they don't have to follow any sort of pit stop rules. And Chapelelli's front wing damage wasn't that heavy. It was quite light actually in the end by the looks of things. And he was running around in, what was it, P4, and he was about 2 seconds behind Jeffrey in front and about 1.5 seconds ahead of Mashiro behind. So just running around with the front wing damage that he had with the last 5 laps, he probably could have kept P4, considering how difficult it is to overtake. So that is a very odd call from him, in my opinion, as Honey Badger comes into a pace of his front wing. I think that's more understandable, considering he's missing a majority.
To be honest, Chapelelli is absolutely flying here. He's right on the back of Bart. Bart defends the inside line, but surely it's just a matter of time for Chapelelli. The closing speed there through the final corner was absolutely unreal. And now the Ferrari lining up on the Red Bull. You can see the pace difference here. Chapelelli diving it down the inside. Here comes the German on the Dutchman. Oh, a little bit lagged back into each other. A little bit of ghosting system, but it's like Venom-esque. Chapelelli around the outside gets the move done. Phenomenal stuff by Chapelelli. The German has just sent it, but here comes Bart again. And Bart is not going to take that lightly, but it is Chapelelli who takes the position. And that, I think, is the Ferrari speed over the Red Bull coming into play.
Yeah, it does look like the Red Bull's the slowest car in a straight line. I think someone's just had a spin. I don't know who that is that's had a spin. It's someone a bit further down the order.
Honey Badger.
I think that was Conti. I think Conti or... Yeah, Honey Badger, yeah, sorry. Yeah, Honey Badger just had a spin coming out the pits by the looks of things. So he's falling behind Conti now because of that. But yeah, I'm still... while Chapelelli's pace is probably going to be pretty fast at this point in the race, I'm still absolutely baffled by that decision to come into the pit lane. He's thrown away a really, really good result in the end, and he's only down in P9 at the moment. He's going to pass May's AI car, but in front of that, 12 seconds to Charlie. Chapelelli is stuck in 8th now. It's a very odd call in my opinion.
But we'll see if he can close up on Charlie. Obviously, Charlie being 12 seconds ahead. It is getting quite nitty-gritty, to be honest, I think, in terms of that. Maze has successfully rejoined the session. In the meantime, Honey Badger is still on the back of Conti. Conti just left sideways at a turn 12. But now, Honey Badger trying to close in, and McLaren not close enough down the straight, taking very high revs there, 190 mile an hour before braking. Honey Badger really fighting the car, but we know our Honey, he will not give up without a fight. And Conti is that man to give him that fight out on track. Bart, by the way, has gone past Maze's AI car. He will successfully rejoin ahead of Conti and Honey Badger, and again a bit of snap of oversteer from the Dutchman. Navy, by the way, still out in front. Siege in second, Jeff in third. Mashiro is in fourth. He's lost a little bit of time. Venom has got past Sean, but he can't pull away because of the Ferrari's lack of straight line speed. Sean in sixth position. Charlie in seventh. Chapelelli with that baffling decision to come into the pits in eighth. Bart in ninth on his TTL F1 debut, I'm right to say. He's in ninth. Maze is in 10th. Conti and Honey Badger, the closest battle out on track. It's just gone a little bit stale, to be honest.
Yeah, they're starting to spread out a little bit more now. There's a bit of a spread in gaps. I was actually going to comment on the fact that Sean, you could tell, was slower than Venom, but after Venom passed him, Sean hasn't really been dropped by Venom. There's not really that much of a pace difference between these two now, and that McLaren straight line speed is definitely allowing him to keep up at this point in the race. But yeah, other than that, it is really starting to spread out. I will put a one out for Bart. Obviously, Bart's not really known for this racing. This game, he's more a racer for Project Cars 2. He's running around in 9th. He started at the back of the field. He's gained 5 places. He has front wing damage and didn't come into the pit lane. He decided to stay out and just continue on with the front wing damage that he's got. And it's paid off for him. He's made his way up into the top 10 at the moment. Maze is the only driver behind him that can really challenge him at this point. And it's going to be difficult for Maze to overtake at the best of times anyway. So, but that's the kind of strategy I would have expected from Chapelele. And I think Bart's proved that even if you get front wing damage, it's better to just stay out and continue on with it, because it's gaining him places and he's not really under any sort of threat of being
a penalty within 10 seconds of the race starting. And second, he hasn't lost his rear wing yet from Project Cars on Saturday.
There you go. Definitely going well for him so far, better than it was on Saturday.
Oh, Honey Badger's had another moment, I think, out of turn 1. He's been overtaken by both Zero and Casper as well.
Yeah, he has. I think he's
and
just
in
gone
fact,
into AI mode, actually.
yeah, he went into AI. He's recovered. He might have just changed a couple of seconds, I don't know.
But how the mighty have fallen, really, isn't it, for Honey Badger? He is incredibly fast in Formula 2. Put it in a classic car, it really has him on his way.
Goodness me, Bart running into the gravel on the exit of turn 14. Jeffrey's picked up a 3-second time penalty. Mashiro, I'm under the impression, has already got a 3-second time penalty. Maze, in the meantime, on the back of Bart. This is for 9th and 10th. He's rejoined the session, and now the Brit closing in on the Dutchman. It's like TTL, Project Cars 2 all over again. Of course, Maze doesn't race in CLC LMP3. But Bart is coming under sustained pressure now. Here comes Maze, the mighty Maze on the back of Bart. Can he try and get the move done? No, he can't. I think he'll have to wait probably until turn 13 to try and have a go at him. But Bart looks like he's struggling now. Might have just picked up a little bit of graining on the tyres, especially on the rears. But Maze is now beginning to attack him. And I've got to be honest, Maze is looking quicker than Bart at this point.
It really is. Obviously, Bart's still struggling with that front wing damage, but like you said, it is very difficult to overtake. He's going to have to wait for a mistake from Bart, so Bart's just got to really run around at his own pace, do his own thing, and not really worry about Maze at this point. But the good thing for Maze is that he is in the McLaren, and the Red Bull is definitely the slowest car in the straight line. I mean, look at that. Just Maze closing in on Bart, not even being in Bart's slipstream when he's closing in, just goes to show how fast that McLaren is in the straight line. But Bart, confidently enough with a fast chicane, has got enough of a gap, so that's another straight that Maze isn't going to be able to make the move.
Yeah, Maze actually just feathered the throttle coming out of the chicane. He could have just went flat out there. Trying to, well, not spin the car, obviously, but he could have just closed in a little bit if he did that. I think that might be the difference between him actually getting past and him actually staying in 10th position at this stage of the race. He might know, though, Bart might have a penalty out on track. Honey Badger, by the way, is suddenly right on the back of Zero, obviously with a repaired front wing, and Zero struggling here, the Dutchman. Purple middle sector for Honey Badger out on track. Is he going for the fastest lap of the race? I think he might, with that fastest lap point being available. I think Honey Badger has taken the gamble to go fastest lap of the race point. So Honey Badger then on the back. Navy, by the way, is about to come across the line to start the final lap of the race, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he doesn't. He will eventually. He will definitely eventually.
I believe that the person that just crossed the line might have been Conti. I believe that's the one.
Yeah, he's the car behind Honey Badger.
Yeah, so Honey Badger nearly.
And Honey Badger going around the outside on Zero. Oh, and that's quite easy, to be honest.
Yeah, and Zero, I think, lets Navy through at the same time as well. One thing to note at the moment, of the two Red Bulls, Mashiro's coming alive in the last few laps of the race. It's taken a lot of time out of Jeffrey, but both of them have a time penalty. So at the moment, it's going to stay the way it is at the moment, I think. But the problem for Mashiro is that Venom, now that he's been released from... I'm not quite sure who that was for. It's a very brief one, so someone must have had just a very
Zero getting out of the way, I think.
Yes. But yeah, Venom now starting to catch Mashiro. Venom doesn't have a time penalty, and he's right on the cusp of stealing P4 away from Mashiro at the end of this one. So it's 2.9, so it's all coming down to the last 2 sectors of the lap to see what Mashiro can do and see whether Venom can keep under that 3 seconds and steal P4.
Ferrari quicker than the Red Bull, you can see 0.3 of a second already closed up halfway through the middle sector. In the meantime, Navy, the man of the moment, is coming around turn 13, or about to exit turn 13 now, and then through 14 and into 15. But he's driven a very astute race. He is going to dominate this race from start to finish. He started on pole, and by God, he's going to win as well. Siege is going to finish second, Jeffrey in third, so both of our predictions, by the way, have gone completely out the window. But... Navy round the final corner. He might be the host of the lobby, but he's taken it. Honey Badger takes the fastest lap of the race, but it is Navy who takes the win. Siege in second, 2.9 seconds off the pace. And Bart and Maze are having a good battle. Maze has actually got past Bart. Bart picks up a 3-second time penalty. Nearly runs into the back of Maze. But Maze has got that move done. He's up into 9th position. Venom is up to P4 as a result of Mashiro's penalties. So Venom up to P4. Jeffrey gets a podium in 3rd. Sean across the line in 6th. Charlie across the line in 7th. And then Chapelelli, well, goodness me, if it was me, I wouldn't have pitted, to be honest. He would have probably picked up P3, P4, P5, somewhere in that area. Chapelelli across the line in P6. Charlie Barlow in 900ths off. Sean for P6. Maze across the line in 9th. Oh, Honey Badger's had a moment coming out of turn 10, I think. So Honey Badger has... Is that retired or has he crashed? I'm not sure. Maze is getting chased down by Bart to the line. Maze across the line in 9th. Bart in 10th. Conti, who's picked up front wing damage and still continuing on with right side end plate damage as well. He's going to be coming across the line in 7th. And Casper, don't know what happened to him, to be honest, down in 12th.
He had a spin, didn't he, on turn 4, coming out the last corner and hit the pit ball. Unfortunately, he had to pit to replace his front wing because of it. But fair enough, good recovery from him. Good for him to keep going, and he capitalised on other people's mistakes.
Honey Badger, with him DNFing, I don't think picks up the fastest lap point or doesn't pick up points for 13th either.
Ooh.
But I'm under the impression of that.
Yeah, I think I might be under that same impression as well. That is a shame if that's happened to Honey Badger, but it just goes to show that it's never over till it's over, really, does it?
Yeah, I love it how you saw on the front wing of the car, make roads safe. Yeah, make roads safe. We are on a street circuit as well here at Albert Park, but it is Navy who has taken the win, and a dominant win at that. Siege finishing in 2nd, Jeffrey finishing in 3rd. We have still got one more race to come as well from Albert Park, so again, just get a refill of your tea, your coffee, your alcoholic drink, your orange juice, whatever you're having on this fine Tuesday evening. Oh, and I get XP, which is absolutely unbelievable, and you probably might see me go up to level 40 bronze by the end of tonight. Navy, though, has won from Siege in 2nd. Jeffrey has finished in 3rd. Venom in 4th. Drove very well, I think. Watch out for him in the next race. Mashiro in 5th. Sean in 6th. Charlie in 7th. Chapelelli in 8th. Maze in 9th. Bart in 10th. Conti in 11th. Casper in 12th. Honey Badger with that DNF still classified in 13th. Zero, though, I think will pick up 14th. He'll get the points for that. Wesker in 15th. Graham in 16th. Both DNFing out of the race. But... Navy taking the win, Siege 2nd, Jeffrey 3rd. Navy dominant in that one.
Yeah, Navy, and honestly, hats off to Siege as well. Siege kept within about 3 seconds of Navy the entire race, but those two were utterly dominant in that McLaren. 14 seconds clear of 3rd place in a 15-lap race. Nearly a second a lap faster than Jeffrey overall in that race was Navy. Just goes to show how fast that McLaren is, really, isn't it? And I think if I was probably racing alongside these guys, I would say that it would probably be the best. I would probably want to go for the McLaren, because the McLaren just looks like a brilliant race car, doesn't it?
Yeah, the McLaren looks utterly superior, I think, compared to the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Obviously, don't take it away, we did have 3 Red Bulls finish in the points, so that was Jeffrey, Mashiro and Bart, in the points that's shown on your screen, not with the point system that we've got, of course. But McLaren's really dominated. If there was a constructors' battle, but there isn't, McLaren would easily be out on top, I think, in terms of that. Red Bull would be 2nd and Ferrari would be 3rd. I'm under the impression of. Quick maths done there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ferrari definitely seem to be the Ferrari drivers, other than Venom, they seem to be the ones that struggled the most, didn't they? Some of the Ferrari drivers, the ones with the most mistakes. Venom was the one that was able to get the most out of that Ferrari in the end and end up in P4 from the back of the field. So, brilliant drive from Venom.
Well, we have got some more action, I think, coming up. I think we're just getting a couple more drivers back in. Chapelelli and Wesker, I think, both left the session. So Chapelelli is back in. Wesker, hopefully, and Graham will hopefully be joining us as well. But in the meantime, we will have a look through your beautiful comments in the comment section and see how you're doing. Charlie putting my start with a sick emoji. Yeah. Bogged down off the start completely.
Yeah, we noticed that him and his teammate, was it Conti, I believe it was, alongside both of them, bogged down off the line, and they got absolutely swamped into turn 1. Luckily for them, the run down to turn 1 in Australia isn't too long, but if it was the likes of Spain or Bahrain, another track like that, they would have really lost out. So they're kind of lucky in that way, but hopefully they can avoid that for the next race.
And of course, we have got one more race to come, as I already alluded to. Well, I'm under the impression that we've got another race to come. Obviously, with this calendar now being 4 races apart from 5, China has been cancelled, not for the reason that you might all think. It has been cancelled because F1 2020 comes out on the week that we would have ended this series. So it's not because of COVID-19. So China's been cancelled because of more pressing matters at home, let's just say.
Yeah, obviously want to give everyone here a head start of the 2020 game, don't we, before everything ends up going again, really. So I think it makes sense, really, for us to lose one of the races so that everyone can get ready for when the new game cycle starts.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic to see. Obviously, hopefully, we're going to be seeing some fantastic action out on track once again. We are getting prepared. We're going to go with 14 drivers, it seems. Navy out on top. And obviously, with it being one-shot qualifying once again, safety car being off, and realistic car performance on, that's why I think we're seeing the McLaren more dominant over the Red Bull and the Ferrari.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even around a track like this, the straight line speed of that McLaren just gives it such an advantage, which is probably why they're so fast. Because I'd probably say McLaren, while it may be a little bit worse than the likes of the Red Bull and the Ferrari in the corners, it's not that far off. It's still a really, really good race car, but their straight line speed advantage is much greater than the other 2 cars. So that's why McLaren is probably the fastest car to use at this point. And just imagine the speed that they've got around here. Just imagine when we go to a track with higher straight line speeds, such as Canada, McLaren's going to be absolutely dominant there.
McLaren will be dominant, and as I say, if there was a constructors' battle, then I think McLaren would probably be winning it at this stage in the race. Let me get that out again. Rico van der Weert has joined us in the comment section on YouTube. Good to see him. It's in Dutch. I will not repeat what he said because I probably can't pronounce his name, never mind the comment that he's put. But he is supporting Jeffrey, is what I'm understanding from it.
Ah, brilliant. Well, fair enough. We've got some Jeffrey fans in the house, and I'm pretty sure he'll be pretty happy with Jeffrey's result in the first race. But I think he's going to be under a bit more pressure in this second one. There are a number of people that have great raw speed that invalidated their runs in qualifying last time out. So the likes of Honey Badger and Venom, look out for them in this race to maybe be back at the front of the field.
Well, here we go again. We're going to go on board with one chosen person. Are we going to go on board with Venom? It doesn't seem a Tuesday night without going on board with our favourite Scotsman. No, we're going to go on board with Navy, in fact. So Navy in the McLaren, the MP425, of course, out on track, or Dash 25, I should say. Navy now down towards turn 1. One-shot qualifying. He mastered it in pole position last time out, and again, he's well up there with Honey Badger, Siege and Venom. Now on the run down towards turn 3, Casper has retired from the session, so he won't be taking no further part in this session. Navy though through turn 4, a little bit screwy on the back end there, but looking quite good. Machiro well up there in the Red Bull. The Red Bull quite good through the corners, but you should see the pace of the McLaren begin to come into play. Honey Badger well up there early, 27.4 through the first sector for Dave, for Navy I should say. Now through turn 7, then through the chicane at turns 8 and 9. We come up towards the end of the middle sector. Venom, interestingly, is retired from the session. Must have picked up an invalid lap through turn 6, I think. But Navy now coming through towards turns 11 and 12. There's a very fast-flowing chicane. Down into 6th, 147 mile an hour carried through there by Navy, and he's already to the top. You should see the straight line speed, the sprint speed, essentially, of the McLaren. Very high revs in towards turn 13, and now through 14, 15 and 16. 3 more corners to go. 10 to the right, 6 to the left, of course, here in Australia. And Navy coming around the final 2 corners once again. Shiro, Honey Badger's dropped quite a way down, but Navy through the final corner. Is he going to set a quicker lap time than what he did in one-shot qualifying across the line? 1:22.858. I think that's slightly quicker than what he set.
I think it's the 10th up. Yeah, I was actually... I think I jinxed Venom and Honey Badger. I went on board with Venom and he invalidated at turn 6, and then I went on board with Honey Badger and he invalidated at turn 12, so I completely jinxed them. But I think Honey Badger, if he'd have crossed the line with the time that he had, I think he would have been second, so down in 10th, that's a real shame for him.
The silent commentator's curse for my co-commentator there. Thank God it wasn't caught on stream.
Yeah, I'm very good at doing that, but yeah, apologies Honey Badger and Venom, I've cursed you once again.
Navy, though, takes it. Mashiro in second. Going to be quite interesting to see the TTL F1 League 1 and League 2 drivers going at it. Jeffrey in third, Conti in fourth. Chapelletti again starting in fifth. Charlie in sixth, Mays in seventh, Bart in eighth. Quite a number of invalidations there. Zero, Honey Badger, Venom, Siege, Casper and Sean all picking up invalid lap times out on track. So just over half the grid getting a valid lap in. And that really makes a difference, I think, around here in Australia.
Yeah, and I think one thing to point out from that race is that Navy is going to be incredibly happy with that. The person that could follow him the closest in the last race was Siege. I was honestly just under 3 seconds behind at the end of the race. Siege invalidating and will be starting on the back row of the grid. So in terms of the championship positions, that's perfect news for Navy. If he can go forward and win the race again, and Siege struggles to get through the field, then he's going to have a massive championship here coming into the second round.
And once again, it is dry. Not unlike my location here in the northeast of England, it's beginning to rain, which is terrible. Somebody is building a shed over the back as well, which is fantastic. In the rain. Well, kudos to that guy. Kudos. But with 0 seconds approaching and the formation lap once again about to begin, it is Navy, of course, on top. But Mashiro, the TTL F1 League 2 dual champion. He's won the last 2 runnings of TTL F1 League 2. Obviously, with being TTSL and then TTL F1 League 2, he's taken both. He took the Challenge Cup as well. Can he do it tonight in the Classic Series? Can he beat Navy at his own game?
I think it's all going to be down to the start. Mashiro's going to have to try and out-drag Navy down into turn 1. He's going to have to try and get it done on the first lap. Otherwise, I think we're just going to see... I obviously don't want to curse Navy at the same time as I don't want to ruin his race for him, but I think if we don't see that from Mashiro, I think we're just going to see Navy disappear off into the distance in this one. So I think Mashiro's going to have to get it done lap 1, and I think if he doesn't get it done, then I think he's going to have to allow Jeffrey to try and do it as well, because I think of the two, Jeffrey might be the slightly faster red driver.
The number 1 rule of being a commentator, don't curse anyone.
Well, I've broken that rule several times.
I think I've broken that rule, honestly, every single night I've done commentary, to be honest. I always curse somebody at some point within the race. But, obviously here in Australia, we have got 14 drivers once again out on track. I'm going to ask you for an early prediction of a top 3.
Right, well, I probably suspect you're going to go for another crazy prediction, so I'm going to go for probably the most boring prediction I could probably ever make, and probably will ever make. I think the top 3 is going to stay the same, if I'm honest. I think the top 3 that qualified where they are, I think the top 3 will stay the same come the end of the race.
Really? 2 Red Bulls in front of a McLaren?
I think it's possible. I absolutely think it's possible. I think the raw speed that Jeffrey and Mashiro have, I think we'll be able to just get them ahead of Conti. I think they're probably, at the moment, the 2 Red Bulls, their biggest worry, I'd probably say Chapelletti in 5th. So I think if anyone's going to knock the Red Bulls off, I think it'll be him. Right,
for me, I'm going to go Navy for the win, Conti for 2nd, Chapelletti for 3rd.
Ooh.
Not the mad prediction that I made in race 1. But I'll let you take the start when everyone joins up onto the grid.
Brilliant. Okay, go on. 14 drivers this time around instead of 16, unfortunately, but we will wait for 5 robots to come on ahead of the drivers. Who's going to get the best start? Will we see another bog down for the McLaren drivers, or will Navy be able to get off the line decently against the Red Bulls? Offline they go. Start. It's a brilliant start from Navy. Mashiro's not quite got the reaction of him, so Navy is going to be very clear into turn 1. The 2 Red Bulls actually of Jeffrey and Mashiro side by side. Jeffrey goes all the way around the outside. Brilliant move from Jeffrey into turn 1. He takes 2nd place ahead of his teammate, but Navy clear out in front. He's got a half a second lead almost already. Honey Badger and Siege look like they've got off to good starts in the background as well. Honey Badger's on the inside of Maze, who's looking at 0 as well. They're 3 wide in the background. Venom hasn't quite got the start. Ooh, Jeffrey really wide. Oh, and Chapelletti's lost it on the sausage curb on the outside, and he's hit the wall. And I think Honey Badger's got collected in that as well. Both of them out at the back of the field, and we've got Venom round in the background as well. The only 2 Ferrari drivers in the field coming into horrible starts to this race. Venom spins on the exit of turn 6. So a number of people caught out at the start of that one. Meanwhile, in behind the top 3, Charlie's now up into 5th. 0's up to 6th. He's had a brilliant start in the other Red Bull. So he's coming under pressure though from Maze behind, I believe. And we've got Siege behind as well. Sean and Bart are side by side. I think Bart's actually just let Sean through. I think Sean got a brilliant run through the corner and he's just let him through. So Bart's just ahead of his Red Bull teammate of Casper. Yeah, but yeah, 3 big players out out of the running almost immediately at the start of this race, but up front, again, Navy, a brilliant start to this race, already nearly a second clear of Jeffrey. Jeffrey ran a little bit wide at turn 13. Mashiro's on the back of him. Mashiro had a look into the penultimate corner. Not quite close enough though, so Jeffrey's just going to hold on to P2 for the time being. But again, look at Navy, he's disappearing into the distance. 1.5 seconds after one lap, he's gone. What a brilliant start for him.
Brilliant start, 129 flat, of course. Chapelletti, I think, has ran in the background as well. And actually, it's actually Honey Badger. So Honey Badger has ran through turn 13. Machine was on the back of Jeffrey in the meantime. Charlie on the back of Conti. I saw Siege get the move done on Maze as well. Down into turn 13, sailed it down the inside. There might be teammates normally in other leagues, but honestly, Siege pulled off a really great move on Maze down the inside to take 7th position away from the Brit. But now Mashiro on the back of Jeffrey. We've got action further down the field. Sean is on the back. I think Bot, by the way, just coming on board with what you said there. I think, oh, and he's got into the back, actually, of Sean.
Yeah, just
completely outbroke himself.
Yeah, I was on board with Casper, and Casper all the way around the outside. Round the outside of turn 7. Oh, Bart's really late on the brakes, but he gets it stopped. Fair enough, Bart. He gets P10 for the time being, but Christ almighty, Casper was so brave with that one. I don't think Casper was very happy with the driving that Bart was doing then, and Casper leading in the background. But yeah, I think, I'm just going on to another point as well. Siege has had a brilliant start. He's up 5 places already, and he's in the top 7. So look out for him to maybe still be on for a podium. Oh,
yeah, Sean of 5 positions. Oh, and there's a spinner. Chapelletti's round.
Yes, just above the one as well. Zero had a massive moment on the exit turn 13, had a massive tank sapper, was nearly 90 degrees to the road and saved it. And Siege, I don't know how Siege didn't run into the side of Zero's car there, but he managed to get away with it and get past. Really good stuff from Siege to avoid that. But Christ almighty, they are very lucky to get away with that one.
Blame the cameraman on that one. I didn't catch it, but I am catching Sean down the inside of Maze. Can he get the move done? Around the outside through turn 2. Look at Bart on the back as well. Sorry, Casper on the back. It could be 3 wide down towards turn 3. And surely Casper's not going to go for the sandwich move. Sean down the inside on Maze. Fantastic battling between them both. 2 TTL stalwarts going at it. And Sean's around the outside. A little bit of contact. And Maze is into the wall. I've got to be honest. I think Sean was ahead anyways to get the move done. I think obviously 2 wide into there. Obviously not really going to work, and there you go, Sean up to 8th, Maze down to 12th as a result of him in the wall.
Yeah, that's a shame for Maze. I think he just understeered clean into the side of the other McLaren driver, and that's how he ended up spinning. Venom, meanwhile, starting to work his way back through the field after his spin on lap 1. He's on the back of Bart for P10, but another disaster in qualifying for Venom has put him at the back of the field in the race, and this is Venom's problem. Venom definitely has the pace to be fighting for the podium, but he's just ruining his chances of being on the podium in qualifying, and it's putting him at the back of the field again.
Here he comes. Yeah, gonna go for the move down the inside, is he? Here comes Venom down the inside of Bart, the Dutchman and the Scotsman. Oh, bit of a look in there. Venom could still be side by side through turn 14. Not quite. Bart runs wide. This is Venom's opportunity. Down towards 15. Bart runs a little bit too deep, but maintains the control of the car and pretty much parks the bus. But now is where you can open up the taps, and this is where Venom should get the move done. Bart down the middle of the track. I don't think he's going to be close enough though to try and defend this off. And there goes Venom down the inside into P10. He goes. Fantastic battling between them both. Venom making that one look pretty easy in the end.
Yeah, it looked pretty easy. I think Bart caught out by the fact that he has front wing damage once again. He just got caught out by that in the last one and had to back off to not hit the wall. That was the problem for him, and that gave Venom the run to get past. Plus the fact that the Red Bull definitely is slower in the straight line. So Venom up into P10, and Venom's going to have to try and chase down the pack in front of him at the moment, which is Casper and Sean, and then I believe Zero in front of that. So other than that, though, the 2 Red Bull drivers are Jeffrey and Mashiro, incredibly evenly matched at this point in the race. Mashiro's hanging on to the back of his teammate, but just doesn't have that extra 2 or 3 attempts to get close enough to make the move stick.
If he was in a Ferrari, I think he would have been past him by now.
Yeah, definitely a McLaren or Ferrari are definitely a lot closer, but obviously the 2 Red Bulls running around obviously exactly the same car. It's really going to be hard for Mashiro to pass unless he makes a mistake. Conti, though, doing a very good job of holding on to P4 at the moment ahead of Charlie. But Siege has caught these guys already.
Yeah, Siege on the back. I was just going to come on board with this because Charlie was chasing down Conti. He's now on the back. Conti just lost a little bit of time there through the final couple of corners, but they're all evenly matched. They're all in the McLarens. I cannot see really an overtake getting done unless one car has got a quicker setup than the other. Charlie, in the meantime, on the back of Conti. This is for P4 and 5. There's a bit of a lag spike there from Charlie. Siege has just lost a little bit of time. Casper's picked up a 3-second tumble as he chases down Sean for position. Red Bull against the McLaren. There's the yellow flag in sector 1, and it's Venom. Venom that is round through turn 2.
Wow, Venom again is another spin. That's his second spin of the race so far. That's a real shame for Venom to go horrible.
Conti's under a lot of pressure here. Charlie nearly having a look down towards turn 6, through 7, and then in towards the chicanes of 8 and 9. Can Charlie think about getting a move done? Conti has been prone to picking up a bit of right side end plate damage in the past. Certainly in race 1, Charlie will be looking to try and get that again. Honey Badger, by the way, is on the back of Maze, running down towards turn 1. I'll come on board with that hopefully in a second. But now Charlie on the back of Conti. Siege is looking quick with a 3 now, though. He's trying to get onto the back and take on board with Siege's point of view. It's not close enough, though, to close up to the guys in front. Charlie as well. And Jeffrey might have made a mistake there. Mashiro's through to second.
Yeah, Jeffrey, I think, got a little bit sideways on the exit at turn 13. Mashiro went all the way around the outside of turn 14 to take P2 away. So that mistake that I said that Mashiro was waiting for, this happens, and he's retaken P2 in the race.
And that means your prediction is now on once again.
It's on once again. Here comes Siege, though, on the back of Charlie. Charlie is defending it ever so slightly, though. And obviously, Siege maxes out in 7th gear before he can do anything about it. So Siege can get the move done. Oh, and picks up a penalty as well. So a very early penalty for Siege in this one. But yeah, he's kind of stuck at the moment behind Charlie and Conti.
Siege just had a bit of overcorrection, I think, in towards turn 1, and that's why we saw him lose the time that he did. To be honest, I was on board with him for that. And Siege trying to get onto the back of Charlie in the meantime. Conti is still in 4th position. As you say, Mashiro has gone past on Jeffrey. Bart has just picked up a 3-second time penalty further down the field. And how has Venom caught 2.5 seconds on the back of Bart already? And that's just within a lap.
Oh,
Bart's off! Venom's got him.
Bart's got front wing damage on both sides of his car now. I think he's understeered into the wall somewhere and he's almost completely lost his front wing, so he's probably going to have to come into the pits to fix that. Yeah, he's probably going to come to the pits to fix that. One person who's probably absolutely kicking himself at this point of the race is Honey Badger. He's set 2 fastest laps in a row and he's stuck in 13th behind Maze.
Oh, and he's going to go for the move down the inside on Maze. Oh, goodness me, inches apart from contact. God almighty, that was close.
They're very lucky to get away with that one, but I think that's fair enough for Maze. That was way too far back for Honey Badger to actually make the move stick, so Maze had full entitlement to the corner in the end. But yeah, Honey Badger will be kicking himself there. A, he invalidated his lap in qualifying when he could have been on the front row, and B, being caught up in an incident with Chapelele in the first lap.
Well, they call him the Honey Badger out on track, but I think that was more like Daniel Ricciardo, to be honest.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Someone else has had a spin. Siege. Has Siege gone round?
Siege.
He has. Siege has dropped it on the exit at turn 1, has hit the
Bart
wall and broken
well.
his front wing. Oh my word. It's all falling apart for some of the fast runners. Siege obviously second in the first race. Now he's going to be down in 9th. He's going to be overtaken by Venom most likely as well. So championship-wise for Siege, this is a disaster for him.
It is a disaster for him, but Navy out in front. It's not really a disaster for him. Honey Badger still, in the meantime, is on the back of Maze. He's going to try and overcommit this through turn 16.
Chapelele's round again on the exit at turn 12.
Got to get that car going, and he's been disqualified.
Disqualified for driving the wrong way.
So he's reversing on track, I think.
Yeah, he was trying. I think he was trying to spin the car around, and as he was spinning the car around, he got disqualified for driving the wrong way in the end. So that's just a real kind of a rookie error, really.
Oh, Casper! All of the back of Sean coming through the chicane as well. Somebody cut in there, but Casper on the back of Sean for 7th and 8th. The Red Bull man is right on the back. Chapelele's car, by the way, is still going round out on track. It'll probably go off track very soon indeed. But Casper in the Red Bull, how on earth is he keeping up with the McLaren?
He's doing a really, really good job. He's definitely very suited to the Red Bull car. Obviously, Casper's had a spin in the first race, so he's trying to make up for it in the second one. But again, the straight line speed of that Red Bull just isn't good enough to get past Sean. He has to wait for a mistake from Sean to make the move stick. But the problem with that is Sean knows that, so Sean can just run around at a pretty standard pace and not push too hard, and he can keep Casper behind.
I'll tell you what, I'm on board with Maze and Honey Badger. This is getting very close, and Honey Badger weaving down the straight. Is he trying to say, get a move on? I think that's what he's trying to say, to be honest. Honey Badger on the back of Maze. He desperately needs to try and find a way through. He needs to find a way through now, to be honest. He might try down towards turn 1. Chapelele has left the session. Inevitably, I think we'll see something on Twitter later on. But there's a spinner.
Yeah, Venom spun on the exit of turn 2 and has spun and hit the wall in the car park section of the track. So,
and he's lost his front wing.
Lost his front wing completely. What a disaster this is for Venom.
And that is actually through turn 4, not turn 2. And he's spun the car again. Has he got a puncture?
I don't actually know. I don't think he has, but he's retired from the session in the end. Again, another person retiring when they can still score points, but Venom's race has completely fallen apart. It's a tale of two stories. Venom had a brilliant race in the first one, and then the second one has just gone horribly wrong.
It's a shame, really. It's a shame that we are seeing the falling of a couple of drivers, to be honest, within the race too. Chapelletti getting disqualified, Venom out the race. Bart is now going to inherit P12, but Casper is still on the back of Sean. Say somebody that is driving a very astute race, and we haven't mentioned him, and I think Sean and Casper are actually catching him. It's Zero. He's up in 6th position, had a wretched race 1, and he's now possibly going to land himself a P6.
Yeah, he's doing really well. He's kind of running around on his own. He hasn't got any pressure from behind and he's just not got the pace to keep up with the guys in front. He had a great first lap as well, where he avoided all the carnage with Chapelletti and gained 3 places from it. And he's stayed in 6th the whole way through since then. So, good stuff from Zero. See if he can keep that towards the end of the race.
Charlie's on the back of Conti, nearly into the back of him, in fact, coming on board with him through 7 and 8. Goodness me. Well, through 8 and 9, I should say. Charlie on the back of Conti. Good evening to McCrew, by the way, in the comment section. I saw his comments earlier on. He says hello to you as well, Aidan. McCrew. Good evening.
Good evening to McCrew.
Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, all Casper meanwhile. Through turn 12. Brilliant run through turn 12 against Sean. He's all over the back of him. But look at that. McLaren just pulls away in a straight line. Nothing Casper can do to try and get the move done into turn 13. That's the problem, is that he's so much faster in the high-speed parts of the track, but then as soon as it gets to a straight, he can't make the move.
He's on the inside, it's turn 15, can he? Oh, no.
Not quite confident enough on the brakes in the end, but fair enough from Casper. I think he's realised that he can't make the move stick in the straights. He's going to have to go for something a bit unorthodox.
I think he realises that he's weaving down the straight there, thinking, God almighty, I wish I can get past, I wish I had a quicker car. But I think a thing that we could come on board with, Zero's just losing time now to Sean. Sean, if he gets onto the back of Zero, will come into play. But I think, to be honest, these Red Bulls need a lot more corners in their way.
Yeah, I think that's really the problem, isn't it, at the moment, is this track is, while it is a relatively high downforce track, it's nowhere near as high downforce as other tracks you get around the calendar, like places like Budapest, Monaco, Singapore. This track, you still need a relatively fast car in a straight line, and unfortunately the Red Bull just isn't that at this point, which is why it's making it very difficult for them to complete overtakes. Another thing to look out for, obviously Charlie and Conti are still very close from P4. If Charlie is able to get past...
Siege is out.
Yeah, Siege just spun and hit the wall at turn 2, another big player out of the race. But Charlie, if he's able to get past Conti, I think Charlie has the pace to maybe catch Jeffrey. So that's just one thing to look out for, is that these guys, while they're still fighting, they are still running around at the same pace as Jeffrey at the moment, who has completely fallen off the back of his teammate at this point.
Yeah, Jeffrey's fallen 3 seconds off the back of his teammate. He's 3.3 ahead of Conti.
Racida picks up a time penalty, but he's got a 5-second gap, so at the moment he's still safe. But that's just one thing to look out for. He doesn't want to get another one because he'll be under pressure from Shearer.
Casper's still on the back of Sean, not giving up without a fight here, Casper, the Finn, right on the back of Sean. I saw him actually have a really good battle last night in a Finnish league that he was in. Intermediate conditions around China, and he completed a great move around the outside.
Fair enough from Casper, sorry. We know that he's a good racer. He's had great races in F2 as well, so we know what he's capable of, but I think at this point he must be incredibly frustrated. He must be thinking, God, where is DRS? Please give it to me, because he is just stuck at the moment in P8. He definitely has the pace to be at least fighting with Conti and Charlie at this point in the race, I would say, but he's just got nowhere really to go. He can't make the move. He's has to wait for Sean to make a mistake, and at the moment Sean's not giving him any hope of that.
To be honest, the Red Bull's actually looking slightly quicker down this part of the straight with the slight kink in than he is. And now Casper, is he going to try and line himself up and move over then into 13? I don't think he's going to be close enough, but you never know.
You never know, you think about it, but if you look at, just looking at the timing boards going down that straight, he actually lost time in this slipstream. Just goes to show how fast that McLaren is.
You can see how fast the Red Bull is through the corners as well, but the McLaren in the meantime on the back. Honey Badger picked up a 3-second time penalty. Casper now getting outdone around the final corner. Sean remaining in P7 out on track. If the Classic Series was to return, by the way, what tracks would you like to see? I would love to see Hanoi on there, just because of the big, long straights that the McLaren can dominate on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The McLarens would absolutely love the Hanoi Street Circuit being on the calendar. I think a great track for the classic cars would be Zandvoort. I think that would be great for these cars to drive. Obviously, with the high grip that they have, that would be a great track to watch. I think other tracks on the calendar that are probably good for the 2010 cars, I'd say, probably the classic tracks. So places like Monza, places like Budapest, where there's a real mix of kinds of tracks that could throw Red Bulls at the front, or McLaren at the front, or Ferrari at the front. There's a number of tracks that these cars would be good at, but races at places especially like Monza would be very interesting to watch.
Casper fighting there, goodness me, Sean making a mistake, but Casper fighting the car as well, coming through in towards turn 10, the king, but goodness me, Casper quite close there, Sean, and there's the yellow flag in sector 3, is a Bart, I wonder.
Yeah, it is Bart, he's spun on the penultimate corner, but fair enough from Bart, he may be a lap down, but he's continuing on and he's going to score points because of it, so fair enough from Bart for continuing on despite having a pretty wretched race.
He was 4 minutes down in CRC, so at least it's not that bad.
Yeah, it could definitely be worse. I mean, it could be either completely out of the race or it could be 4 minutes down, like you say, so at least he's continuing on.
Casper very close to the wall there, out of the final corner, but lap 13 out of 15. It is Navy who leads, Mashiro second, Jeffrey in third. Your top three looking very smug, I've got to say, at this point in time. But hasn't Jeffrey got a 3-second time penalty?
I'm actually just going to double check that. I'm going to look at the race director now to see. I think he's got 2 warnings at the moment, so he's 1 warning away from getting a time penalty. But Conti himself has got a penalty, so Conti isn't going to be the one to take that podium off of him at the moment. It would most likely be Charlie, who doesn't have a penalty himself either at this point. So if Jeffrey does get a penalty, then it's going to have to be Charlie that gets within 3 seconds of Jeffrey to steal that third place.
There will be an announcement, by the way, at the end of this stream. Not letting you into what it is. Honey Badger has retired down the pit straight.
I think he's spun and hit the wall, unfortunately. I don't know if there was contact with Mays in that, but I think he's spun and hit the wall. That's another big name that has fallen. We've had the 4 people out of this race, so I'd say 4 of the fastest drivers, I would say. Honey Badger, who got fastest lap in the last race, and has been getting fastest lap pretty much throughout the entire race this time around. Siege, who finished second, Venom and Chapelele, the 2 Ferrari drivers, all out of the race. That is disasters for them, but great for the likes of people like Jeffrey and Conti and Charlie, who may not quite have the same raw speed, but are able to keep going in the race and continue on.
What did I say at the beginning of race 1? But before the beginning of race 1, don't judge people's pace from what you see in real life league racing, essentially. Honey Badger, Siege, Venom and Chapelele, arguably 4 of the quickest drivers I think on the grid in terms of raw pace and ability, have been, I think, outdone by the classic cars out on track. And as I said earlier on, you see the likes of Jeffrey, you see the likes of Conti, Charlie, who not necessarily pick up big results, picking up massive results and massive point hauls here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just another note as well, Conti is really catching Jeffrey at this point in the race now, so those McLarens have definitely got the pace on the Red Bull. And another thing as well, I don't know if Navy's just backing off ever so slightly because it's coming to the end of the race, but Mashiro is bringing the gap down ever so slightly. I don't think it's going to be quite enough to get within the penalty window of Navy, but should he make a mistake, Mashiro is there to pounce.
Yeah, Navy, I think, is probably not going to relax, to be honest. Is he going to try and go for fastest lap of the race, I wonder? It's possible.
You might want to take it, yeah.
No.
Sean picks up the time penalty. Casper's through. Casper's finally been able to make the stick on the penultimate lap of the race. Casper finally able to make the move stick on Sean, who I think ran a little bit wide and it's at 13. As I say that, yeah, Casper does it at 15, so that's going to put Sean on the back of him. But look at Casper defending to the inside. He does not want to give that place up, having just got it. Look at the McLaren in a straight line.
Wow. Already hitting up again.
Casper leaves him enough room. Sean understeers into the side of him so slightly. Casper desperate to hold on to P7, I can imagine so, fighting for it the entire race, but he's left a little door open on the inside. But Sean's not quite confident enough on the brakes.
Deep, he's going to be around the outside here, you watch. Oh no.
Oh, he thought about it. Oh, and Casper, oh yeah, Sean's going to get stuck on the sausage curb. That is a shame for Sean, that is a real shame for him. He's able to keep it going in the right direction. But Casper finally on the final lap is able to take P7. He's been fighting for it all race long.
Oh,
and he's finally got it.
Boss picked up a 5-second penalty for ignoring a blue flag as well. Sean doing a bit of Tony Hawk's, I think, to be honest, on that sausage curb. Grinding along there. Goodness me, if he had a 360 pike and everything that in, I would have given that a 10 out of 10. But obviously the McLaren can't do that. But
Jeffrey, just before the end of the race, Jeffrey is really struggling for pace now. Look at Conti, only 1.5 seconds back in the end.
Yeah, here comes Navy round the final corner, and it is going to be 2 out of 2 for Navy. Well, the Classic Series is certainly going his way so far. He takes the win in Australia. Mashiro 6/10 off in the end.
Wow.
If Navy had another lap, I think Mashiro would have got him on penalties, to be honest. Jeffrey going to be across the line in 3rd. Conti in 4th. Charlie in 5th, but jumps position. Bart has also got a 5-second time penalty. That will not affect his result. Casper finishing in 7th. Sean in 8th, I think. And he crashed, and I don't think he would have actually got 0.5 of a second over Casper, even if he did crash. It's a bit strange, but Mays is coming around in P9 as well. Not really his race here for Mays, but he is picking up 9th place, which I think is a good result for him.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the key, is that even though he's had a pretty wretched race and has been running at the back for most of it, he continued on, and he hasn't made any major mistakes that have cost him a chance of finishing it, so he's going to be able to get the points on people that didn't finish the race in the end.
Yeah, Mays now coming round through 15 and then through 16, and it hasn't been his day at all. He comes across the pit wall, similar to what we saw with Jenson Button in 2009, remember, back in the day in the Brawn GP, literally running adjacent to the wall in a similar coloured car, not in the McLaren, but in a Brawn GP, which you can also drive on the game as well. But it is Navy once again who takes the win. 2 out of 2. Is anybody going to stop him?
I honestly don't know at this point. Going into the next round, we obviously have to wait and see whether the McLaren suits the next track on the calendar or not. If it does suit the McLaren, I don't think Navy's going to be stopped at this point.
Yeah, Navy certainly has dominated, I think, out on track, and it comes to show he has got a very good, healthy advantage going into next week's race. Of course, will be from Spain, which should be fantastic.
I think Spain is very similar to Australia, so it could definitely suit the McLaren, especially the pit straight. But look out for possibly the Red Bulls to be fast in the last part of the lap. That's probably where the Red Bulls are going to shine. So I think it might be a pretty similar story to this race.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic, obviously, to see. And there are the results on your screen. It is Navy who has taken the win out on track from Mashiro in 2nd. Jeffrey has finished in 3rd. Charlie has finished in 4th, with Conti in 5th, Zero in 6th, Casper in 7th, Sean in 8th, Mays in 9th, Bart finishing in 10th, picking up not the final point scoring position, but if the rest finished, then they would have picked up the points. Honey Badger, Siege, Venom and Chapelletti getting disqualified from the race as well. But Navy, I think, arguably picks up driver of the day.
Yeah, I think Navy has to pick up driver of the day for me. He was utterly dominant in both races and no one really came close to beating him. So yeah, he definitely takes my drive for the day, but I think I'd say probably a shout out to Mashiro and Siege as well. Siege in the first race especially, to be able to keep that close to Navy, but in the second race Mashiro was much more competitive and much closer to the McLaren driver, so Mashiro definitely getting to grips with that Red Bull, so he might be a force to be reckoned with in the next race.
I've just seen Casper on Twitter, I think this was before the race actually begun, #need with a massive Red Bull gif.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Just seen that on there, and he obviously replied before the racing went live. But fantastic action out on track, and about that exclusive announcement that we are going to give to you. If you have noticed, Esports Mini League has had a rebrand on Twitter, and it's now called the Esports Masters League. Masters League being the top division of the Mini League moving forward, or the Masters League moving forward, I should say. So we have got we've got both EML_F1, Esports Masters League, and EML League 1 as well. So we've got the Premier Division, which is going to be featuring, and I had the teams up earlier on. There we go.
I've got the teams up here as well, yeah.
Yeah, so EML Premier is going to be consisting of S2V Esports, TTG Esports, Livid Motorsport, Firevoid Gaming, Portimonense Esports, Portuguese team, Team Norway Racing, Team Mentalism, CPI Esports, Inside Line Racing Team, and F1 Friends Cup. And that, of course, is going to be, I think, primarily no assists, if I'm right in saying, for EML Premier. Of course, it's going to be on the new game, and we have got the schedule up, or certainly we're going to be starting sometime around August. I think it's on the 26th of August that we start for Esports Premier. Esports Mini League 1 as well, or Esports Masters League 1, will consist of Clean Vigor Racing, PMP Esports, Team TTG, which is going to be the middle ground team, I think, if I'm not mistaken, XL Racing Team, Non-Label Racing Team, Clean Vigor Academy, TTG Academy, Rising Phoenix Esports, OWR Esports, and OSRL Team. So they're the 10 teams going to be taking part in League 1. I'll tell you what, 20 teams, 2 drivers each, obviously, 10 tracks I think we've got for the Esports Mini League next season. We're going to be action-packed.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a real mix-up in how it runs. Obviously, we run Esports Mini League quite differently in the past. We've only 5 teams per division, but a real change in how it's going to run with this number of teams. And the calendar as well. The calendar looks absolutely brilliant. Obviously, we run, I believe it's going to be 1 race a month, I believe, so it consists throughout basically the life of the game. Do the 10 races, and starting at Australia, going all the way to Brazil. We've got some really good tracks on the calendar, and obviously some brilliant teams as well that have joined up, especially in the Premier League, the likes of S2V and ILRT, and there's so many brilliant names in there. So it's going to be really, really interesting to watch.
It's going to be fantastic to watch, and as I say, that is going to be on the 26th of August for the first race, noticeably in Australia as well. That's why I thought I'd have to try and bring that in, to be honest, out on track. But fantastic to see, and of course we've got TTML_F1, that is on Twitter, that is the TT Masters League, our main league, and I can exclusively announce, I think, we're going to have certainly 5 divisions, and there are essentially more people per division. Well, I think we've got 103 sign-ups the last time I looked, so that is unbelievable, and thank you to each and every one of you who has signed up to TTML next season. It is going to be run, well, the dates are to be confirmed, and the days of the races are to be confirmed, but we have got a full 11 race calendar. You can catch it up on Twitter at TTML_F1. You will see me commentating 3 times on in the provisional schedule. It'll be Division 1, Division 2 and Division 5, I think, for me. And Aidan, you're going to be doing TTML F2 next season as well.
Yes, doing TTML F2, and I believe you might, provisionally at least, you might be seeing me commentate as well over one of the divisions. Not quite sure what division yet, but I will be back next season on the new games for those. So yeah, woohoo! Claps all around. So it's going to be. Yeah, going to be great. Definitely very exciting. Obviously, with the merging of the two, the 2 different leagues, and bringing so many new people in. I mean, over 100 sign-ups. That's incredible, considering that we only had 2 divisions this season. The fact that we've had that many sign-ups is crazy. So it's going to be really, really exciting to see when everything comes to fruition in August. So about a month and a half wait, but I'm really looking forward to it.
A month and a half wait, but yeah, I've got to concur. I think, honestly, with non-essential retail coming out as well, you can also buy your physical copies in the UK at game.co.uk or somewhere wherever you get your F1 2020 game from. If you've pre-ordered it, then fantastic. I haven't yet, but I'm assured that I will be getting it. Whether it's digitally or by disc is another thing.
I'm putting faith in Codemasters that they will put the game on the PS Store, but I'll give it until maybe a couple of days before the game actually comes out to find that one out. so I might have to pre-order it from Game, but fingers crossed it's on the PS Store pretty soon.
You can pre-order it through the website for PS4, the official F1 website, but it's not on the PS Store.
Yeah, you can't order it on the PS Store. You can order it on their website, but I think if you order it on their website, it's in disc form, unfortunately. So
I would show you as well, actually. I'll just go out the lobby now, and I would show you, because obviously you've got the F1 2020 on the home screen. If you go and pre-order your copy, it takes you to an external link, which is to the F1 website, and that's where you have to pre-order your game from, essentially. Strange.
Very strange, but hey-ho, we'll find out before the game comes out whether they decide to put it on the store or not.
And I hope we are going to be seeing you once again for Thursday night action. It is going to be the TT... Now, I've got to get this right. I've got to be right about what I'm going to say here. It is the TTL F1 Custom Sprint Cup, which is going to be taking place on Thursday. Myself and Kieran McGinley is going to be taking you through that one. We are going to be in the hills are alive with the sound of music. That's all I'm going to say. That's where we're going. We're going to Austria for round 1, and that, of course, is on the 11th, so in 2 days' time for Thursday night action. And it's going to be one-shot qualifying 25%. So the same race format that you've seen, and I think it's the same points as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. It's the same point system and the same format. And unfortunately, a race has had to be cancelled. You'll be glad to know it's not China, but it's France.
Ah, well. Yeah, at least it's not China 2 times around. But yeah, France, unfortunately, being cancelled from the calendar. Also, tune in Thursday night as well after the Custom Sprint Cup for the announcement of the PS5. That's on the same day. So look out for that one as well, just afterwards. I think the actual event starts at about 9 PM, but I don't think the process is launched until closer to 10. So look out for that one after you've watched the Custom Sprint Cup.
And don't spoil it for us in the stream on Thursday. I will want to watch that on Thursday.
Yeah. I'm just going to put all the comments in the stream now while that happens. I'm just going to spoil it just for you.
Thank you very much in advance for that. Anyways, we better get off the air, because otherwise Maze will be getting us kicked off the air, I think, with me blabbering on like I normally do. But thank you so much for watching here, and thank you, Aidan, once again for commentating alongside me, and I will see you next week, I do believe, for Spain.
Yes, we'll see you next week for Spain. It's going to be very interesting to see who comes out on top there. Can anyone dethrone Navy?
Can anybody dethrone Navy? You'll only have to tune and find out next week. Thank you so much for watching in TTL F1, the TTL Classic Series. I'll get it right in the end. The TTLC, the TTL Classic Series. Thank you so much for watching. I've been James Head. He's been Aidan Carter. Please take care of yourselves, and we will see you next week once again. And don't forget to tune in on Thursday as well. Until then, goodbye.